We'll delve into why you should get involved in the upcoming elections and ways to go about it with Patriot Steve Stern on this episode of United Patriots Uprising with Gary Binford. I'm your host, Gary Binford. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can also get the video version at YouTube, Rumble, and Conservative Television of America. Wherever you get it, please hit the subscribe button so every time an episode airs, you will automatically get it. We're living in perilous times, people, times that we have never lived in before. Our guest will explain that to you because he's been around here for quite a long time and he's seen a lot of stuff and never expected what we're facing right now. This election is for the soul of America, and I'm talking about for our freedom and liberty, and a lot of people understand it. But a lot of people say, I don't have a microphone, I don't have a pen, I don't have a camera, I don't have a TV show, I don't have a radio show, I don't have a podcast, what can I do? Well, our guest is here to tell you what you can do, and not only what you can do, but what you must do. Ready to hear about it? Well, let's get into it. My guest has been involved in politics for more than 25 years, and he's been involved in two big organizations in his native state of Florida. He also is on television, on TV conservative talk shows, more time than I can keep track of. Okay? He is the founder and chief operating officer of Flagshirt.com, which is one of the foremost patriotic gear organizations or outlets in the country. And if anybody in the United States bleeds red, white, and blue, this is the guy. I welcome back to the show, Mr. Steve Stern. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing good, and thank you for having me on the show. And, you know, we were here about 2 years ago, and glad to be back. We'll try to get here more often. We're lucky that, you know, that people tap me, and if you can see in the back of me, I was lucky enough to have a couple of different conversations with President Trump. And he was nice enough to endorse Precinct Strategy. So that's what I started in about 25, 27 years ago in the Broward Republican Executive Committee. I wasn't in there then. I only got in. I was doing politics, but didn't even know there was an executive or county committee or what it was. And I saw a newspaper article that they wrote about, you know, the Republicans doing this and Democrats doing this, because in Broward County, it's a Democratic area. And it's the only county that actually is Democrat in the entire state. And the nice news is that we're turning more and more red. And we now have close to 1 million more Republicans. Now, 4 years ago, we had 100,000 more Democrats. So you know what we've done in this state. And we've gotten naturally a lot of people coming in from other states, such as New York, New Jersey, who are Republicans, who are moving down to get out of the 10% tax and get out of that wonderful left-leaning area of New York, New Jersey. So we do Precinct Strategy, and we'll give you a little knowledge of how we got involved in that. We ask you to go to Amazon and buy Dan Schultz's book. You can see what that is. And go to www.precinctstrategy.com. So what's precinctstrategy.com? Basically, that's the Republican Party. And being on TV numerous years now, close to 4, because I'd never been on before, and I'll tell you how I got on there. I saw Dan Schultz on Steve Bannon about 3.5 years ago. And I called Dan up and I said, you know, we're doing a lot in Broward County. We're getting more people involved. I was the membership chair, and we got about 50, 60 new members. He said, that's fantastic. How do you do it? I explained how to do it. He said, well, wait a minute. Why don't you tell that to Steve Bannon? I said, what do you mean? He says, well, let me see if I can get you on. So about a week later, I get a call from Cameron, his producer, and he says, you know, we'd like to have you on. Dan Schultz speaks very highly of you and asked me some information. I gave him the information. So he said, okay, we're going to have you on this Thursday at 10:05 or 10:10. And do you have Skype? I said, no. He said, well, get it and get me your Skype number. So I got the Skype number. I gave it to him. And about 10:15, they Skyped me. And I had gotten up about 3 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, I'm writing notes myself because, you know, not being on TV or ever doing this before, you know, you want to do a good job. You just don't want to get on there and make an idiot out of yourself. So I woke up at 3 and I'm writing, and I figured I'd write for a little while and go back to sleep. Well, 3 o'clock, for an hour, I'm writing. I finally felt good. I couldn't go back to sleep. I just kept thinking of all these things in my head. So anyway, they Skyped me at 10:15, and I'm ready to go. And about 10:30, they text me, so you're going to be on 11 o'clock. Okay. So I'm still sitting there and I'm hearing the show because they had me on Skype. They didn't pull me out. So I'm hearing all the background stuff, where Steve Bannon is telling his guests, do this and do that. And, you better be accurate. So now it's, it's a little later, and about 11:30, I'm ready to got rock and roll here. I'm sweating because I'm waiting all this time. And about 11:50, they finally get me on. And, by then I figured I'd forget what I was going to say, but I did a good job. And they texted me the little link for it, and they sent a little note saying, we loved it. Steve wants to get you on in a couple of weeks again. And I've been on there probably about 50, 60 times. And I learned a lot. And I'm going to tell you a lot of things that happen. And, you learn something every day. So he asked me to get on a couple of the other shows. He brought my attention to some other people. And just recently, about a couple of weeks ago, I had a nice thing happen. I had my 70th year in business birthday and my 80th birthday in my office. And Bannon sent a crew. Thank you. Bannon sent a little crew down to do a little bit live. So they did that. And it really worked out phenomenal. And the next day I get a call from Rob Sig, who's the owner of Real America Boys. And he's singing happy birthday to me. And I said, holy cow, you're the owner of the thing. Why you did that, I don't know. But anyway, I did learn afterward. He said, I've been watching you for a couple of years. He said, I want you to come up to the studio. I'm going to get you on the 4 o'clock show. So I went up there, and I was supposed to have lunch with him. He had to cancel lunch, but I went up there and did the show, sat down with him for about a half an hour, talked to him about it. He said, look, we're going to support you on precinct strategy and election integrity. And he says, I watch you, and I know you have really great efforts, and you're an honest guy because I talked to a lot of people about you. And I said, look, the one thing is reputation. I was successful. I sold JCPenney a shirt. It's called Banded Bottom, www.bandedbottom.com. We're the largest in the world. We never show it on TV because it's kind of like, it's not romantic. You know what I mean? It's a mature men's line, and I did it for pennies for 44 years. I was able to sell them $14 million a year. Flag shirt is the most important thing, and we talk about that because we just got through with Flag Day on June 14th. We had a huge, and we had some terrific people on it. We had Steve Bannon, Wayne Root, General Flynn, John Rich, Colonel John Mills, John Solomon, Jerome Corsi, Tom Renz, Ann Vandersteel, Emerald Robinson. You're familiar with a lot of the names. Pastor.
Yeah, quite a few have been on Ann Vandersteel, General Flynn. They've been on the show.
Right. Melissa Redpill, Monica Page from One America News, Joni Bryant. Now, Joni Bryant is a terrific girl. I don't know if you have heard of her or seen her on the.
Yes, I know who she is.
So she does the 917 Society, and I went up there with her and helped her. They give out constitutions to 8th graders. And, that's something we taught everybody on this last Flag Day event last week, that history of the flag. And that's so important because a lot of people get taught in school. These young people don't, they have no clue what's going on. And we really did a terrific job here. And we want to thank everybody who came on. We had it on numerous social media. And if you want a link to it, very simply, go to sstern1054@gmail.com. We'll send you the link so you can see the show, or call me at 954-318-6902. Now, if you're watching the show, you want to take my email down because I'm going to tell you a bunch of stuff that you're going to want to learn from and know about, because I'm connected with tons of people, because I call everybody back. And when I'm on TV, I ask them to call me and I ask them to get involved. So let's talk about, again, what you do when you become a precinct committee man or committee woman. There's 400,000 slots, 200,000 people involved, which is terrible because the Republican Party has 60 million voters and we got 200,000 people involved. Think about this now, folks. 200,000 out of 60 million. That means that people don't step up. So you want to learn what you can do. Now, you don't have to give us weeks and weeks of work, because even the people that are in our committees all over the United States, they don't all work. We have, they give us maybe an hour a week, and sometimes they give us an hour a month. But every hour, if you have 40 million hours, that's a lot of hours. So what do? You attend meetings. Normally we have one meeting a month, and you vote on getting people involved. You vote on your offices. There's a chairman, a vice chairman, a secretary, and a treasurer, a state committee woman, and a state committee man. Now, those people go up to Tallahassee or Orlando. They have meetings, and then they vote for the heads of the each state. And so then they go and they they vote for the head of the Republican Party. Now, what I'm going to tell you today, if you'd like to get involved and you want to become a poll watcher, poll worker, just go here, protectthevote.com. And there's also, there's an email address in there, and you can ask information. They'll try to return it because most people don't understand what the headquarters do for your Republican Party. So they have a lot of lawyers working for them. Without the Republican Party and the hierarchy, you would not be able to do all the lawsuits they do. And it's so unbelievable when you think about all these states and all the lawsuits and all the things going on in elections. And so when I saw President Trump here 2 days before the last election, I'm going to tell you what happened. First thing I did, I went up there for a specific reason to ask him to talk about getting people involved when he did his rallies. Because, if I get on your show and you got 10,000 people watch, we're going to get 50, 60 people. But when President Trump goes out there and says, you must get involved, and he endorsed it. I have a big sign showing President endorsed Precinct Strategy. So he's asked people to become poll watchers and poll workers and a little bit to become precinct committee man, but not enough. So when I spoke to him, he asked me, and he knew I did a Zoom meeting on Precinct Strategy. He said, what do you think about the election, which was 2022? And what do you think about 2024? I said, well, look, not too much has changed from the 2020 election when you lost. I said, we need to work hard and we need to do this. He said, why don't you have a Zoom meeting on election integrity? I said, well, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do it. So 2 weeks later, I had 50 people on the first one, and I got some important people together. And I learned a lot over the last 2 years. And about 2 months ago, I was on Steve Bannon, and I told everybody we were going to have an election security meeting that day. And if you want to get on, here's my email. Well, I got 1,000 emails. Now, you know what it takes when the people have to email me to get a link for the election security thing at that time. And I've changed since then because I had to spend from 10:30 in the morning to 3:12 send all these people links. And I wanted to make sure everybody got a link to come on. And then he says, we're going to put this on live on Getter. Well, we had 10,000 people live on Getter. And I said, wait a minute. We've been doing this for 2 years and we've never had it live. I said, duh, you got to learn something. So now that we had it live, 10,000 people saw it that didn't even know we existed. And my friend Melissa Redpill put it on her site. She has 165,000 people that follow her. She had 40,000 people see it. So now we had 60,000 people or 50,000 people that never would have known about this election security call. So over the last, we have it every 3 weeks. And the last one we had about 25,000 people on. And we had Mike Lindell on. He talked about his Cause of America and what he's doing. We had Catherine Engelbrecht. Now, Catherine Engelbrecht, you probably had her on or know about it, True to Vote.
Yes, she was on last month.
There you go. Now, I didn't know her for 2 years. I was trying to get a hold of her, and somehow we didn't drink. Now we're the best of friends, and she has come on twice, and everybody in the world says she's terrific, and we're spreading her around. Now, I introduced her to a lot of people, and that's what we got to try to do. We need to introduce people, and I'm going to tell you a lot of things here that are going to stimulate a lot of people. Now, we had Linda Sinkowitz. Now, Linda Sinkowitz, I don't know if you know her. Linda Sinkowitz has an organization, and I'm going to tell you why it's so important. She has an organization called FightVoterFraud.org. Think about this, FightVoterFraud.org. Now, why is she important? She's been in my office 3 times. She announced something on our Zoom meeting, which was she has data, and she will share the data with anybody that has an organization, any state, to give 500 names of people who voted twice, up to 4 times. Mm-hmm. The data will not tell you over 4 times. Can you imagine this, that there's that many people in the United States that voted twice? And how we found out about it, she's in Connecticut. She got arrest warrants for 10 people, and the police wouldn't do anything about it. So she went to the Supreme Court. It's now in the Supreme Court in Connecticut to make sure that the police arrest the people that voted twice, 2 times, 3 times. This is so important because once we get this in the news, and now that she shared it, we had 7 states asking for the information, plus myself in Broward County, and we're going to find out who voted twice, and we need to get the correct information. And why it's more prevalent in New England is because, and Florida, believe it or not, is because people own homes in New York, and they own homes in Florida. You know how many people own homes in both ways. They come down here, in the wintertime when it's warmer.
They're
And
registered in both states.
exactly. And in New England, they got a home and so they could have free homes. I know people that have free homes. They got one in New York, they got one in New Hampshire, one in Florida. Now they're registered in 3 different places, and they vote in 3 different places. They get mail-in votes. They get it sent from their house to this house, and they do it. So I can't say it's everybody, but if we can start exposing that, that would really help. So that's why it's important. Again, my email to email me. I will hook you up with her if you have an organization. stern1054@gmail.com.
Steve, I have to back you up a minute because I know that there are people listening and they're going, well, okay, you want us to do these things, but why? What's the problem? Why do we need to get involved and be doing all these things? I thought everything is all straightened out. I thought everybody now knows there was election fraud. I thought everything's all cleared up and it's going to be hunky-dory this time around. Set the people straight to what time it really is and what the problems are so they know why you're telling them you need to get involved with precinct chair people or with the precinct strategy. Why is this still important, and is it more important now than it ever was?
So here's the biggest problem we have. Let's say the election was the same as last time. Now we got the illegal aliens. Now people don't understand, or you and I do, but most people don't understand that the illegal aliens are going to be voting in this election. Now, when I pollsters and I said, we say, oh, Trump's up 5%, 8%. I said to them, have you called any illegal aliens to vote to see who they're going to vote for? And they laugh. So if they vote, and of course they're not going to vote, it's probably going to be an NGO. And let me explain to you why this is so important. We have 14 million people have come in here illegally, plus maybe another 2 million that we don't know about. And when they come in, they go to the NGOs, which are non-government organizations, which a lot of people don't even know what they stand for and who they are. So they go to a church that is left-leaning, and these people take them in. And the first thing they do after they get them settled and they get their 1,000 or 2,000 from the government to take care of this person, and the person gets 1,000 from the government for coming into the country and a free cell phone, free medical, free health, free schooling, on and on and on, while our veterans are laying outside homeless in many areas and get nothing. And so this is mind-boggling to me, how we could let this happen. And you talk to people about this, and they have no clue. So now the NGO gets a hold of them, and let's say you and I come in, we're an illegal alien. They say, okay, we're going to register you to drive. You're going to get your driver's license. So they get their driver's license. When they get the driver's license, they get a registration to be able to vote. Now what they have them do is they said, on there it says, are you a U.S. citizen? And they say, well, check that up. Well, don't worry about it. You just check it. If they ask you, you said you didn't know what you were signing. Now they're registered to vote. Now, here's even the worst thing. They take those people, they ship them from New York to Chicago. Now they do the same thing again. Now they got a registration in Chicago, they got a registration in New York, and wherever else they go. Now the NGO is going to get a ballot because they don't want to vote in person. They want a mail-in ballot. Now, we've been investigating the law, and in many states, you can't even ask a person if they're a U.S. citizen when they come to vote, which is mind-boggling. So we're talking about the election, how it is. So if we had the same things happen that happened last time, whatever's going to happen, now we add on the illegal aliens. So you got 10 to 15% more. So you ask what's happening. We have a lot more people working on this. Now, we have Cleta Mitchell, Jovan Pulitzer. We got many, many superstars working on this thing. But the problem is we need many, many more, because you asked why people don't understand all this, because 80% of the people are trying to earn a living and pay off their credit card debt, which now is the most it's ever been. More, how the Democrats are swaying this, that more people are going out to dinner and more people are, getting jobs. Well, the last job report, half of the people that were on the job report were illegal aliens that were getting jobs at whatever the minimum wage was. So if you're a person that's out there and was making, let's say, $22 an hour, you're going to be replaced by somebody making $12 an hour or $14 an hour. And that's the problem with illegal aliens. We love them and everything like that. And sure, we don't want to see people, hurt in Colombia and Venezuela and the drugs. But now we got Mexico, Cuba, Venezuela and many other countries emptying out their jails, and they're paying for the people to get bussed up to the United States and letting them in. Now, you see who the people are coming in, and everybody's poo-pooing this. To me, what I see is with fentanyl, where are all the women that and husbands that their kids died from overdoses of fentanyl? You don't hear them coming on the show saying, "Hey, we got to stop this." It's unheard of.
Steve, this is riveting. People just have to get involved. Everybody, you must get involved. Steve has given you several reasons why you should get involved. And now, Steve, tell me, there was something you wanted to tell me about a reason or a person. What did you want to say in one instance that could really, hopefully open up the minds and the hearts of people?
So, the most important thing that I found out in my years of working is communication. This is the biggest problem that we have. The left hand don't know what the right hand's doing in the United States. So we have a guy in South Carolina, Jeff Davis, Olga Davis. They write an article every day, a newsletter. It's called MY, standing for My, SC, standing for South Carolina, GOP.com. MySCGOP.com. I want you to get that and read it. Now, we have gone on many, many shows and asked people around the country to step up and do the same thing in their state. So imagine if you tell me, Steve, hey, I just found out something. I tell the 50 people, they get it out to 10,000 to 20,000 people. You learn something that's right within 5 minutes. And we don't have that today. So I would have to call up 50 people. Maybe I'll get them, maybe I won't get them. So we want everybody in every state, and we've already picked up California. We picked up New York. We picked up Florida and one other state. We need the rest of the states to step up. So you can imagine how important this is, because if I have a voice and you have a voice, we can share that voice because, you get on your phone or your email, hundreds of emails and texts. But if we had it all under one area, we could get that out. So I think that's one of the most important things I could pass to your people. The other thing is, my guy that's helping us the most is yournews.com. He has a huge audience, millions of people. He will write any article. You can write any article, then put it in. You can get your show on here. And that's what we have, conservative people getting on there.
I hear you. Now, Steve, I want to stay on this topic just a little bit longer because you took it back to what your father told you about the Depression. But you lived through Joe McCarthy and you lived through the communists, when all of a sudden that word became prevalent in the United States, at least as I see it for maybe the first time. Did you ever think after that, after the possibility of a communist scare back then at that point, prior to the 60s, right? Did you ever think we would even be anywhere near where they're like running the country?
No, because this is the USA, and we just got through Flag Day. We put our flag up. I interviewed a lot of people who have their flag up. They love the country, but the problem is, it's like Venezuela. They come in, they start getting the poor people. Here's a cell phone. Here's $1,000. Vote for me. And the people have money. They're busy. You know what I mean? They forget about what's going on. Thank God they're stepping up. But is it enough? I don't know. If we don't get more people stepping up and we get more people connecting, we're going to lose it.
I hear you. Now, this is a scary question, Steve, but you've been around long enough to know. If we lose this election, because a lot of people, and I try and beg people, we have a problem, Steve. Our problem is we've cried wolf several times and survived. We cried wolf Bill Clinton's second term. There are some people even calling him the Antichrist. We cried wolf Barack Obama's second term. If he got elected again, it would be the end of America. It didn't happen. This time, I really believe it will be the end of America. But how do we convince people that would say, yeah, you said it when Clinton got elected, your second time, you said it when Obama got elected, you're still alive, you're still eating, you still have your home. Why should we believe you now?
It's because the people see what's happening now, and they see the prices. You go to the food stores, you go to a food store today, you pay twice as much for eggs, twice as much for milk. I mean, and insurance, people can't even get insurance in some places. Your medical is up. Everything that you do is up. You're paying $2,000 to to $4,000 a year more, and you're not getting more money. So sure, the people that have the money, that's one thing. But when credit card debt is the highest it's ever been and people can't pay their credit card, they're losing their cars, they're losing their house. And you don't see it because the Democrats are masquerading this with phony numbers and phony stuff. So I'm worried. I am really worried. And if the people don't listen, they deserve it. Because I don't blame the Democrats for what's happening. I blame the Republicans, because if they're not going to get up, we do see younger people moving to to our side. We see Hispanics moving to our side. We see other minorities moving to our side because they realize what's happening. The question is, can we stop the FBI, the CIA, the Justice Department, the presidency, the Senate, you know what I mean, from stopping us with what happened? Because they're putting Bannon in jail. They want to put Trump in jail. They want to put everybody that works for him, all the J6ers who did nothing. All these things are happening. And every day you see this happening. So this is Venezuela, Cuba, and we never thought it would happen. So we better wake up, because if we don't wake up, you are going to be unpleasantly surprised, not pleasantly surprised. And you have your flag upside down, and that's because we are in trouble. So like I said, action, action, action. Let's get the people off their butts. And all we can do is try. You can't make people do anything unless they see it. And, when Giuliani won the mayor in New York, the third time, that was when crime was up so high that they just got him in. Well, that's what's happening now. The people have to see, and they got to watch podcasts like yours and TV shows, and all word of mouth from all our people that are getting it. And that's the only thing that we can do. So I hope people are listening. And again, thank you so much for having me, and we love you.
Same here. Thanks for coming on. Tell them how they can reach you, and tell them how they can get your product. Anything you want to promote.
So you go to flagshirt.com, www.theflagshirt.com. Get it for the 4th of July. Go to a rally with your flag shirt. You're going to see beautiful stuff there. I mean, we just have so many customers that send me so many things. I want to thank everybody. I'm not looking for gratitude. I'm looking for success in getting our country back.
Thanks for coming on again, Steve. I'll be catching up with you soon, because you are an inspiration. And if you can do this at your age, and that you have this type of passion, what is our excuse? Thank you for coming on. There you have it, Mr. Steve Stern. I want to thank my friend Steve Stern for coming back to explain to us the perilous times we live in, and what each one of we the people must do, why we must get involved to save our country, because this is not an election we can afford to lose. So I really thank you, Steve, and admire your ability at an advanced age to speak truth to power and to be unwavering on a daily basis, just shaking the tree and letting everybody know it's now or never, America. So we love you, we support you, and hopefully we will all join you in helping to save this nation. This podcast is available at radioinfluence.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. The video version you can get at Rumble, YouTube, Conservative Television of America. Either way, we hope you'll hit the subscribe button. That way, whenever it airs, you will know. There's also an audio version. There's been more than 175 high-profile guests who have appeared on this podcast in less than 4 years. The likes of Christina Bobb, Ben Carson, Monica Crowley, John DeLemme, Vince Everett Ellison, Donna Fiducia and Don Newen, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, Rebecca Friedrichs, Pastor Jack Hibbs, Judge Janine Pirro, Dan Schultz, Trevor Loudon, Kevin Sorbo, Carol Swain, Michelle Terrace, Ann Vandersteel, Will Witt, Naomi Wolf, just to name a few. If you go, you can hear on audio what they've had to say, because it's just as relevant today as it was then. Well, that's it for now, everyone. So until the next time, this is your host, Gary Binford, saying, God bless you, God bless your families, and God, please, bless America.